Hey there Anime Reborn fans, thinking about where to spend your hard-earned gems? Let's be honest, nobody wants to waste them on a banner that turns out to be a total flop. That's why today I've got you covered with the ultimate anime Reborn unit tier list. We've gone through every single unit in the game, tested them in all modes, and ranked them from absolute game changers to, well, let's just say they belong on the bench. So whether you're grinding PvE or trying to dominate PvP, this list is your one-stop guide to making the smartest picks. Get ready to level up your game and summon like a pro. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Let's dive right in. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking units in Anime Reborn. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Ichigo, Laugvi PTS, Naruto, Mr. Set, Sakura, Usog PTS, Susaki, Kurulin, Zero PTS, and Tintin. Alright, let's talk about those C tier units in Anime Reborn, the ones that make you question your life choices when you accidentally summon them. Look, we've all been there. You're just starting out, hoping for a game changer, and bam! You pull something like Tintin. But hey, not all hope is lost. Let's dive into the good, the bad, and the why are they even here of this tier. First up, we've got Ichigo. Now, Ichigo is like that one friend who's surprisingly reliable in a pinch. Decent range, solid DPS, and bonus points, he can target air units. If you're new to the game, Ichigo is probably your best hybrid option to kick things off. He's not going to carry you into the late game, but for those early maps, he's the MVP of mediocrity. Then there's Laugvi PTS, the Cone AoE king of the starter pack. Honestly, if you're picking your first unit and don't know who to go with, Laugvi's a solid choice. He's not going to make your friends jealous, but he's got that reliable, I'll get the job done vibe. Just don't expect fireworks, think of him as the Honda Civic of units. Dependable, but not flashy. Now let's talk Naruto. This guy's damage scales if you have multiple Narutos in range, which sounds cool on paper. But good luck pulling that off consistently. He's like that one coworker who's super productive only when the whole team's around. That said, for a rare unit, he's shockingly usable if you build around him. Keyword, if. And then we hit the bottom of the barrel. Tintin, oh Tintin. What do we even say about you? Her passive gives a 10% attack boost, but honestly, it might as well be a participation trophy. If you're using Tintin, it's either because you've given up or you're doing some weird self-imposed challenge run. Either way, you deserve a hug. So yeah, C tier is a bit of a mixed bag. Some units, like Ichigo and Kurulin, can actually help you out early game. Others, like Mr. Set and Zero PTS, will leave you questioning why you even bothered. And then there's Tintin, who's just there existing. If nothing else, these units will make you appreciate the good ones when they finally show up in your summons. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Boulder Lee, Yasuke, Vigoto, Haisei, Inoke, Sijin PTS, and Pun. Alright, anime warriors, let's talk strategy, because what's the point of assembling an epic team in Anime Reborn if you're not making smart picks? Today, we're diving into the B tier units, those characters that sit in that sweet spot of not bad, but not game-changing either. Some of these guys are hidden gems, while others might just be collecting dust in your inventory. Let's see where they all land and why you might want to give them a shot. First up, Boulder Lee. This guy is the king of AoE, area of effect, once he's fully upgraded. In infinite mode, he's a real powerhouse, covering the map like it's his personal sandbox. But let's be real, getting him to max in shorter modes can feel like trying to finish an anime arc in one sitting. Still, if you've got the patience, he's worth the investment. Now for Yasuke. On paper, good DPS and range sound great, right? And sure, Yasuke delivers, just not as much as you'd hope from a legendary. He's like that character in a shonen who has all the hype but always gets overshadowed by the main cast. Solid, but you'll find yourself moving on to better options pretty quickly. Sijin PTS though, oh, this rare unit punches way above its weight class. Full AoE with burn effects? Check. Amazing range? Check. 6 max placements to flood the map with destruction? Absolutely. Sijin is the type of unit that makes you think, wait, this guy is just a rare? He'll carry you through early stages like a champ and might even make you hesitate before swapping him out later. And finally, a shout out to Pun, the budget-friendly MVP. He doesn't have AoE like Sijin, but his passive is ridiculously good. Stack a few puns together and suddenly his damage and range start to snowball. Plus, his low cost means you can slap him into your lineup without breaking the bank. For new players, Pun is a fantastic starting point. So there you have it. B tier units might not dominate the meta, but they've got their own charm. Whether you're just starting out or looking for niche strategies, these guys can definitely pull their weight. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Kuzar, Droid 18, Jonas, Uryu, Zenith, Red Boss, and Naja. Alright, let's dive right into some of the best A tier units in Anime Reborn. First up, we've got Kuzar. Now, if you're just starting the game, or even if you're further along, Kuzar is a game changer. His low S-bar and solid range make him one of the best DPS and shield breaking units in the game. He's that reliable unit you can always count on when things start getting intense. Trust me, he's perfect for clearing out those pesky shields and dealing solid damage to enemies. Moving on to Droid 18. This unit is an absolute steal for her price. She's an ultra cheap legendary heal unit with surprisingly decent DPS, but here's the catch, she doesn't have a slow passive like Uryu, which is a bit of a downside if you're trying to crowd control. But if you need something affordable that can handle the job, Droid 18 is a solid pick. Then we've got Jonas, a hybrid DPS and shield breaking unit with a little burn effect thrown in. He's pretty solid in most situations, but the truth is, there are other legendaries that might outshine him. Still, if you don't have the top tier units unlocked yet, Jonas can definitely hold his own on the battlefield. Now, let's talk about Uryu. This unit's stats aren't anything to write home about, but her 25% chance to slow enemies is something you can't ignore, even if it's a bit low. Her biggest perk though is being a heal unit, so if you don't have anything else to target air units, Uryu can still be useful. She's not the star of the show, but she does her part when needed. Last but not least, Zenith. This guy is honestly the best starter epic unit you could ask for in Anime Reborn. He comes with full AoE on placement, which makes him an incredible addition early on. But here's a little heads up. Don't upgrade him too much because you'll lose that awesome full AoE with his second attack. Keep him as your starter and use him wisely before you move on to more powerful units. So there you have it. A tier units that can make a real difference in Anime Reborn. Whether you're starting out or already deep into the game, these units are reliable and versatile enough to give you a solid boost. Just be sure to use them in the right situations and they'll carry you through the toughest battles. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hawkeyes, Itaha, Brolio, Hotrodiu, Oda, Super Gohu, Pain, Unigosi, and Sun Prodigy Blazing. Alright, let's dive into the real powerhouses of Anime Reborn. We're talking about the absolute cream of the crop, the S tier units. These bad boys aren't just good, they're game changers. Whether you're grinding through tough mobs or facing off against those giant bosses, these units will make your life so much easier. So, buckle up, because here come the legends. First up, we've got Hawkeyes. This guy is the definition of a boss killer. His passive gives him a massive plus 100% damage against bosses, and when evolved, that number jumps to a jaw-dropping 250%. Seriously, if you're struggling with bosses, this is the unit you need. But that's not all. His cone AoE attack and low SPA, or attack speed, make him great for clearing mobs as well. It's like he's got the best of both worlds, boss slaying and mob clearing all wrapped up in one package. Then there's Itaha, and oh man, this unit's a beast. He's got burn, great DPS, and insane range. He's perfect for wiping out mobs, and while he's not quite the boss killer Hawkeyes is, he can still handle those big guys just fine if you don't have Hawkeyes yet. And did I mention he's a hybrid unit? Yep, that means he can deal both single target and AoE damage, making him super versatile. Trust me, you'll want to have him in your squad. Next, let's talk about Brolio. This guy is wild. He's another hybrid unit with full AoE when evolved, and he's got pretty solid DPS and range. What makes him stand out though is his passive. He actually gets stronger as he attacks. That's right, Brolio gets progressively more OP as the fight goes on. If you're looking for a unit to dominate in infinite mode, this is your guy. His ability to stack damage makes him a force to be reckoned with as the waves roll in. Now, let's shift gears and talk about Oda. This guy is all about big AoE attacks, and when fully upgraded, he can clear massive crowds with ease. His stats are solid across the board, and his passive even buffs his crits, which is always a nice touch. The catch? He can't target air units, which makes him a little less versatile compared to some of the other mythics. Still, with his massive AoE and solid damage, he's definitely worth considering, especially if you're looking for a dependable all-rounder. Moving on to Super Gohu. He's a heal unit with pretty good DPS, but there's a bit of a catch here. His line attack and rather lackluster passive really hold him back. While he can be helpful in certain situations, he's not exactly the top pick for every scenario. If you're looking for a unit that can really carry you through tough waves, you might want to keep looking. That said, if you're early in the game and need a reliable DPS, he can still hold his own for a while. And last but not least, we've got Pain. Pain is a bit of a mixed bag. He's got a stun ability that activates every 4 attacks, and he's full AoE, but his DPS? Not so great. As a support / DPS hybrid, he's got some utility, but honestly, there are other units out there that can out DPS him while also providing more utility. He's not bad by any means, but if you've got better options, it might be worth swapping him out when you get the chance. So there you have it, some of the best and brightest in anime Reborn. Whether you're hunting for the ultimate boss killer or just need a reliable AoE unit, these S-tier units have you covered. Keep these guys in mind as you build your team and you'll be well on your way to domination. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Mercury, Dragon Emperor, Delta Brothers, King Rimura, 2021 Picora Yellow, Oster, Greybeard, and Gohan. Alright, so let's dive into the real heavy hitters of Anime Reborn, the S+ tier units. These units aren't just good, they're game changers. If you're lucky enough to pull any of these, get ready to wreck through the toughest stages like they're nothing. First up, we've got Mercury. This guy is absolutely insane. His passive ability totally ignores enemy element damage debuffs, so he's always performing at peak levels. Whether you're running him in the hardest mode or just grinding through the game, he's a solid pick. On top of that, his line AoE attack is seriously broken, and to top it off, he summons units that scale with damage. He's one of those meta-defining units that's gonna make your team look stacked. Next, let's talk about the Dragon Emperor. Now, if you want a unit that can do it all, this is your guy. He's a full AoE hybrid with some of the highest stats in the game, and if you evolve him, he even brings a support passive. The catch? Well, getting him isn't exactly a walk in the park. The grind can be a bit annoying, but trust me, it's totally worth it. He's gonna carry your team through some of the most challenging content out there. Then we've got the Delta Brothers, who are hands down the best shield breakers in the game, and if you've been stuck dealing with shields, you'll appreciate these guys. They've got a hybrid line attack that scales beautifully with damage and SPA, plus they've got a full AoE ability with a 300-second cooldown. It's perfect for mowing down mobs and clearing out tough bosses. If you need someone to handle those shield-heavy enemies, the Delta Brothers are a must-have. Now, let's talk King Rimura. This guy is an absolute beast for infinite modes. His scaling passives are off the charts and his DPS is solid, making him an ideal pick for long drawn-out battles. However, he's missing full AoE like some of the other S+ units, but don't let that fool you. He's still a top-tier option. His ability to scale makes him a monster in prolonged fights. Of course, we can't forget 21. If you're after a full AoE unit that can literally solo carry you through most modes, she's the one you want. On max upgrade, she sacrifices her AoE for more range, but she's still a powerhouse. She's a heal unit with insane stats and can take down massive waves on her own. 21 is pretty much the go-to meta unit right now, and if you have her, you're pretty much set for a lot of the game. Lastly, there's Picora Yellow. While he's only able to target ground enemies, he makes up for it with his full AoE when evolved and a buffing passive that works wonders for your other units. He's an amazing all-around unit, and with that added bonus of buffs, he's definitely one to have in your lineup. It's not every day you get a unit that buffs your other characters while dishing out some serious damage, and there you have it. These are some of the absolute best units in Anime Reborn right now. They dominate the battlefield with their insane stats, powerful abilities, and versatility. If you manage to get your hands on any of these, consider yourself in the top tier of players. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Darkbeard, Nonomi, Water Goddess, Ruki, and Killer. Alright, let's talk about the unsung heroes of Anime Reborn, the support units. Now, these guys don't always get the spotlight like your main DPS, but trust me, they can make or break your strategy. If you're looking for that extra edge in battle, you've come to the right place. First up, we've got Darkbeard, who's absolutely a beast when it comes to AoE damage. Once you max him out, he's got the ability to slow down enemies with every attack, making him super effective in crowd control. The catch? His upgrades can be pretty pricey, so be ready to invest, but man, is he worth it when you need to handle waves of enemies? Then there's Nonomi. He's not as flashy, but don't sleep on him. He boosts the damage enemies take by 35%, which can be a game changer, especially when you're up against tough bosses. He might not dish out the damage himself, but with Nonomi, your other units will feel a lot stronger. However, outside of boss fights, he doesn't really stand out all that much. Now, if you need a support that does more than just buffing, Water Goddess has your back. She provides a range buff and can deal some decent damage to regular mobs. She's also pretty good at breaking shields, which is always helpful when you need to take down those tougher enemies. Finally, we can't forget about Ruki. She's a legendary support unit who freezes enemies thanks to her passive and packs some solid DPS herself. Ruki is, without a doubt, one of the best supports to have when you're looking for both utility and damage. And while Killer has some solid stuns and decent SPA, it's hard to ignore that Ruki and Darkbeard often steal the spotlight. Still, Killer's ability to target air units on max upgrades can definitely come in handy if you're lacking an air targeting legendary. So yeah, these support units may not always get the glory, but they're absolutely crucial when it comes to building a balanced team in Anime Reborn. The units in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Speedcart, Yano, Yamo, Lucky One, and Bulba. Alright, let's dive into some of the real powerhouses in Anime Reborn, the support units that can make or break your strategy. First up, we've got Speedcart. Now, this guy is a bit of an investment, definitely not a cheap pick, but if you're aiming for infinite mode, you absolutely need him. Not only does he farm money, but he also gives a sweet 15% upgrade cost reduction to the first 5 units within his range. That's a game changer for setting up those big powerful units later in the game. Next we have Yano, who is basically the king of crowd control. This guy can slow down everything he touches by 50%, and that's not just for a few seconds, it's practically permanent. If you want to keep enemies in check and buy some time for your DPS to clean up, Yano is your guy. Plus, he's a hybrid, so his multi-hit attacks can work wonders, and if you've got wind units on your team, his buffs are the cherry on top. Total legend. Then there's Yamo, the ultimate support / DPS hybrid. If you've got some solid dark type units like Oster on your squad, Yamo fits in like a glove. He's got some amazing synergy, providing a plus 35% damage boost to dark units and a plus 15% crit rate and crit damage boost to everyone in his range. Oh, and let's not forget his own solid DPS output. This guy is both a utility and a damage dealer rolled into one. Last but not least, we've got Lucky One, the stun machine. He's not exactly a top tier DPS, but when it comes to support, Lucky One shines. Each of his attacks stuns enemies for 3 seconds, and he actually gains stat boosts when he recovers from his stuns. It's a pretty sweet combo if you're trying to disrupt enemy waves, though you'll probably want to pair him with stronger DPS units to really make the most of his support. Oh, and if you're in need of a quick farm unit, Bulba's your go-to. She's cheap, effective, and perfect for those shorter rounds. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.